Welcome back to another episode of Risk Takers and Trailblazers, Women in Insurance, the show where we shine a light on fearless women pushing our industry forward. I'm Diane Jones, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Helen, Jen, and Tanya. And today's guest is someone I've had the privilege of knowing for a very long time, Jody Lohr.
Thanks
Jody
for
and I
having
first
me.
connected over 13 years ago, I think it was. I know, sorry, I should be.
Actually, I was just thinking about this earlier, and funny enough, Helen and I were having this conversation with a couple other ladies. There's certain people that I don't specifically remember meeting, and you were one
Yeah,
of them. Was it PYIB?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, that wow,
I
good
have
on
to go back to my age of my oldest daughter. That's when I remember when I was on PYB.
you.
But that is us back in the day. I was trying to find. I'm gonna find a picture.
Oh, is
So
that important?
Yes, please.
today, though, she is the vice president of operations at Excel and Y, previously Lundgren and Young, a past president of the Insurance Brokers Association of Alberta, and currently serving on the national board of the Insurance Brokers Association of Canada. Jody's built a career around bold leadership, mentorship, and a commitment to excellence. And so we're so excited to have her here joining us on the podcast. Welcome, Jody.
Thank you. I'm excited and nervous.
No, don't be.
Welcome.
You got a mug, we got coffee. It's like
Got my
coffee
mug.
with friends. That's what
Your
we say.
beautiful faces are here with me.
All right, well, so why don't we go back into that way back when, where it all started? So, what led you to the insurance industry back in 2005? I think you were saying you started?
I think it's five. I think I got licensed in five, started in '04. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I also don't remember what happened yesterday. So, I'm one of the complete flukes. I had no idea what the insurance industry was, brokers, whatever. I did have a vehicle that was insured, and I knew that back in the day, ING took money out of my account every day or every month so that I could drive. My post-secondary is actually early childhood education, and after that, I was working at the golf course in Grand Prairie, the Dunes, for anybody who knows that. And I was there for like 6 years, and I was a supervisor out there. And one of the gentlemen that I had served on, men's night for 6 years was looking for a receptionist, and he kind of said, "Hey, you should throw your resume in." And I was like, okay, I don't even know what that means. And did all the interview process. There was one part in there that specifically sticks out in my brain. It was like, do you know how to operate a five-line phone? And I was like, of course I do. I didn't even know what those words meant. And you know what? Honestly, because of it, Brent Oiland, I totally need to drop his name because I'm very grateful for him. He really just gave me the position by default. He liked me. We had worked. He had seen me in the customer service side of things, especially in the reception, and he gave me a shot, and I'm so grateful for it. And yeah, I did reception for, I don't remember how long, maybe a year and a half or something. And then I fought him every step of the way along. He was like, "Hey, I think it's time. We should get you licensed. You're going to get a personal lines book of business." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And then he won that. And then I did that for I don't know however many years. And then he was like, "Kate, we're getting you into commercial." And I was like, "No, you're not." And then he won that. And he called me over one night, like this is however many years in, quite close friends. We were a smaller brokerage, and he's like, "Come have dinner one night." And then he offered me the management, I guess, officer manager position at that point, and I declined that 100%. And then, of course, he won. And then we did some amalgamations, and I became general manager. And through all that, he threw me under the bus for IBAA and PYIB, and here we are.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah,
that was
like
my next question is
total
how
float.
did you get into the association stuff? But that answers that. You were voluntold.
Yeah, so way back in the day, for those that remember, we had local councils through the association, and ours was the Peace River Local Council, and each local council had like a board of directors, and they needed a new secretary, which is ridiculous because I can't write, I can't spell, I can't do any of that. And they're like, "Here, go in and help." And that was 15 years ago, and here I am.
Wow. So this sounds like this mentor was really like your mentor. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
What do
He
you
really,
mean?
I always say he raised me in the insurance world as to the persona of who I still carry forward. Yeah.
So then how did you get down to Calgary?
I was living in Grand Prairie at that point for 15 years, and just the itch was itching. It was nothing about leaving the position or the brokerage or anything. In fact, that was one of the hardest notices I've ever had to give. There was a lot of crying from multiple partners. And I just kind of stuck a pin in the map of a couple places that I was interested in going and reached out to people that I knew, and Calgary was where I ended up.
Nice. So going back to your time with like the PYB and getting involved in associations and stuff, how do you feel like getting involved so early in your career kind of shaped your approach to leadership?
Oh, I will say as much of I as I'm out there always like really browbeating people to join. I could have probably used a little bit more time under my belt. Also was saying that though, because I didn't have an actual board, a position on the big board, if you will, it gave me a little bit of a learning curve. But I was really thrown into something that I was like, whoa, I don't know what I'm doing here. But
Mhm.
sink or swim. And as a northern farm girl, work your butt off, sink or swim, right? So that's just kind of how I got through it all. And once I got my bearings a little bit under me, I couldn't get enough of it. I don't like not being in the know. That's a really big problem for me. So now I'm
Mhm.
addicted to that. And also just the idea of so many different people in a room at a time
Yeah.
really taught me how to navigate working with so many different personalities and how different people receive different things and that type of stuff. It was really beneficial. All way back in the day, again, I'm going to say that 900 times. We used to do a president's tour, and my spiel as 2 years of PYIB president was always specifically to the principals out there saying, like, all this has really done in the grand scheme of things is made me a better broker. It brings me, like, all I've done is brought support and strength back to our brokerage. I had relationships with underwriters that, some people don't have within 20 years of their career, and, relationships with just different insurers and the association and even some, government side of things. And all that did was just provide more information to me and more understanding of the background of what we're doing.
Yeah. Interesting.
So you landed here in Calgary and obviously did career stints and jobs through the insurance industry, and you've landed in your role today of the VP of Ops. So what's your biggest leadership lesson in your role today?
Honestly, I would have to say, oh, biggest? I don't know. I think
Or or the or the thing that makes you, either the most proud, if you want to look at it a different way.
well, actually, I'm going to swing. So I think one of my main things that's always stuck out with me, and this is one of the questions, is don't pretend you're the smartest person in the room. And
Mhm.
I take that to heart for everything. Yes, I'm VP operations, but I don't always know the best solution. Like, we are very open to our staff and my management team. Anybody, if you have an idea out there, bring it to us. It might not always come to fruition, but
Mhm.
I'm not the smartest person in the room. Sometimes I see things, A, and somebody will go, well, how about B? And then, oh, well, maybe if we combine, we make C. That's been the biggest lesson for me through all of this. I don't always know what the best answer is, and that's okay.
So
That's
then,
how people learn to work with me and trust me, because I don't want to be the smartest person.
nice, nice. And then, so let's focus on what you're proudest.
Proudest. Is it too simplistic just to say of my career itself? I've done a lot of initiatives along the way, and um, some cool projects in my different roles and different things like that. But I'm really proud of where I've gotten to, in the sense of the relationships that I've made and the people that, can reach out to me and that I can reach out to, that my staff understands that, like, I've been top to bottom, like I really have worked through it. And, maybe I haven't sold a policy in a few years, but I still remember what those frontline days are like. And that stuff's important to me, to be true to who you
Mhm.
are and just be really proud. There's a running joke that I always say I drank the Kool-Aid. I am so proud and excited to be in this industry. And some days it still just confuses me because, like I said, I'm such a fluke, but somehow whatever happened was meant to happen. And I'm just really proud to be here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I talked about that with Julie and some others just the other day, and I really do think we need to get more people in our industry and to realize that our industry is fun as well as interactive and challenging every day. You'll learn something new every day.
Everything.
Yeah.
Every day we learn something different.
And I
Well,
am proud of too, I guess one thing I just want to swing out there is bringing people in. That's something, especially Diane, PYIB. That was the YBN. That was the biggest whatever word I'm trying to think of there for PYB was how to get people into the industry and specifically into the broker side of the industry, right? And I still thrive for that. I've conned my niece into taking an administrative role at the brokerage, and she's in college for something completely different. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna win. So I really, yeah, opening that door for people.
yeah. I think you see that a lot when you come back from convention. Particularly the smaller conventions, I feel is that it's it's this relationship. It's something that is like kind of hard to explain, and I think you certainly don't get that in tech. You don't get, I don't think, and I've been on this kind of marketing and tech side for 11 years now, almost 11 years. And it's just the relationships are so strong in insurance, like you said. And so it's very supportive. There's challenges, obviously, but there's challenges with everything, right? And I think you solve those challenges by coming together and
Yeah.
connecting, right? And I think if you can learn that early on in your life or somewhere along the way, then that's going to bode well for you, for anyone, right?
And I think there's a lot to say. I mean, I guess I'm kind of biased. I don't really know any other industry, to be fair, but the relationships that I've made along the way and things go south, right? Some
Yeah.
contracts get canceled, things like that. I am a firm believer in everybody is doing what they can for the greater good, right? I don't want to make enemies out there. I don't like having negative feelings out there. I understand that at the end of the day, everything is business. And I think that that's super important because you never want to burn a bridge in this world.
Mm-mm.
It's a very small world.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a very small, and you can tell. I mean, maybe this also just comes with age, but you can tell the people in the industry that haven't figured that out. Let's just put it that way, right? And it's starting to become even more obvious, I guess, in that world. So I know we kind of like already kind of been into this realm, but from a leadership, like what are, if you want to share, and it's okay, we can edit these things, but what have been your most eye-opening moments?
Um, well, actually, I'll start with just my journey with Lundgren and Young into Excel and Y. So when I started there, which I think is 7 years ago, it was still Lundgren and Young, and however, family-owned business and very strong on the family culture.
Mhm.
There was change in management and leadership at that time, and I come in and I'll say a very tight family was going through some very rough times. And then this newbie walks in and it took me a little bit to kind of just take my time, sit back, listen to everybody, get the feel of the lay of the land and just be able to work within what was already there. I knew in the back of my mind that if I went in and was like, rah, 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 I got this figured, I was never going to succeed. These people had existed together for 40 years for some of them before I was in there. And I'm really proud of the relationships that I've developed within our staff and our management team and our brokers. And we've been through hell and back over the last few years, and the fact that, you know, we stick together and we're there doing for the greater good, for the consumer, whatever we need to do and to help those people get the insurance that they need. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
it's interesting how, again, I don't know if this just comes with age or just comes with relationships in general, but really navigating those moments, right? Where things aren't perfect, or there's tension, or there's full-blown fights, and really taking a step back and thinking about where somebody was in their mindset, in order to, to look at the bigger picture, right?
and the passion that was there. I mean, nobody makes a bad decision on purpose, right?
Right. And I think it takes a
Yeah.
lot of
Not
strength
Helen.
to look at that and say, you know what, this person wasn't in their best at this moment, but if I take myself out of it, I can see where they're coming from, and it's not a reflection of me. And that just comes with
And building off of good ideas. Sometimes we have great ideas, but they weren't implemented the right way or different things, right? So yeah, that's something I'm very proud of. And I things could have went sideways for me coming in that type of position, in that type of situation, but I really took the time the best that I could. I mean, and I screwed up. There were days when I was like, I'm the smartest person in the room, which I said is never the smart thing to do. So, you know, lessons were to be learned, but I just really took time to get to know people and understand the environment that I was getting into, and you know, working together as a team. And we are fully team. One of our values is family, like, and literally because some of it is true historically family, and we really embody that, or in bold that culture, like we're family.
yeah. From a people and broker perspective, what do most people not really understand about the associations? And what do you want them to know?
I have a tooting our own horn, I guess. There is so much stuff being done in the background, the advocacy, the relationships with the insurers, just the work to get content out to everybody from the staff and that type of stuff. And I know that through like the Alberta Association, IBAC itself, just different associations out there, YBN. Unfortunately, just the nature of it is you don't see everything that's actually happening at all times. You only see whatever's in the news or the highlight or the concern of the day, and you know, some people don't think that we're doing everything that we could be doing. Some people appreciate what we're doing, and it's hard to really kind of push that narrative of what's happening in the background, and then trying to find a balance of that as well. As I say, toot your own horn. Well, we need to let everybody know what we're doing. I mean, there's a fee attached to it, right? We're humans. There's an association fee. So why are we a part of the group? But you don't want to go too far and become the arrogant association that is like, you're welcome that we're here, right? That's not our message that we want to get out there. So I do think it's a lot of that behind the scenes. And, you know, I've over the years, I've tried to explain it and tried to show it. And I think people understand to an extent, but until you volunteer for something like this and really step out into that, you know, other role, it's hard to get your head wrapped around it. But it's full volunteer time. Like there's a lot of dedication that goes into doing something like this. And I think ideally it's most important for people to remember that it is volunteer. Like we're doing this, whoever is putting their name up across Canada, we're doing this because we want to do this for the broker and for the consumer. And so, you know, it's not always fun.
No, for sure.
And how do you advocate for that to get new thought processes in there, new people in there? Where can they go? What can they do?
New thought processes, I would say, again, I think it's just the sharing, just really having those deeper conversations as opposed to the high level stuff that you're seeing, you know, on socials or however at conventions. Um, What does the second thing?
And how do people get involved with the IBA? Like, how do they say they see you and they
Oh,
know you and lots of people do, and they're like, you know what, I want to be a part of that. How can we today
well, I
help?
just berate them and make them feel guilty until they join. But honestly, simplistically, um, it starts brokerage level. So if you wanted to actually join the board, then your brokerage obviously needs to be a member of the association. So that's a conversation you need to be having with your principals and managers if that's something that's important to you. But if you are already a part of a brokerage that is an associate member, really it's just simple attendance. You see something, go. You don't have to sign up. There's no commitment right off the bat. And I think that's scary for some people. It's intimidating. But you just, PYIB's having a bowling event. Just go attend, sign up, register. There's meet your underwriter nights or trivia nights or however, just start joining those and attending. You build that networking, you get out there and meet other people that are doing the same thing. You get your own, like, you're working on broker support and peer support, that type of stuff. And then once you understand more of what these events and situations are about, then maybe you're interested in putting your hand up for a position on the board. And as far as getting nominated, super, super easy. You just have to have a member nominate you and away you go. Like that's actually the simplest part of the process. So yeah, it's getting out there and having those conversations and just determining whether it's something that you want to be a part of or not. And if you don't, I don't know, we'll have to sit and have a conversation because you do want to be a part of it.
I really like how you said earlier, like that everything you've gotten out of being a part of associations just made you a better broker, or you brought it back to your brokerage. Because I know some of the struggles with getting people involved with the associations is the principals or the brokerage level is like, no, I don't want you spending so much time volunteering. It's a big time commitment, or you're going to get poached. We all know we're in a resource strapped time that's been ongoing forever. So they think, well, if you go out, you're going to get poached by another brokerage. But really building your staff and building the individuals within only does great things for the brokerage. So it
Yeah.
should be a positive push.
It is, yeah, 100%. Back when we were starting in there, like our PYB golf tournament, it's a charity golf tournament. It's a great event. Basically, like 900 years ago, we started that thing, got it going. And as the PYB board of directors, we used to have to take provincial lists of the principals and literally phone and beg people to come to this because they exactly what Diane just said. Oh, I don't want my staff headhunted, and I don't want any secrecy out there, and I don't want them away from the desk. Well, again, it's a misunderstanding of time commitment. PYIB, which is the best place to start, or your YBN, whatever province you're in, it's not a huge time commitment. It's really, truly not. Meetings are virtual. You have a couple events you attend throughout the year type thing. It's just getting that networking started and understanding. But yeah, we used to hit that headhunting thing so hard and we would just phone and beg. And then once we started getting people involved, even now, whatever it is, 13, 14 years later, principals are much more open to letting
Yeah.
their people go to these type of things. There's still a few out there that are concerned about it, and however that people are each to their own, but it's that understanding that we're not out there trying to screw over your staff. We're really trying to strengthen your staff.
Yeah.
And I mean, if somebody leaves a position, that was happening already. That has
Well,
nothing to
exactly.
do. Exactly.
It's leading with peer. It's
Yeah.
not a good leadership tactic. And I think what you're going to see is that, well, you're already seeing that people are taking. There's just such a platform now for people to take their career and their life in their own hands. So
I see that a lot with the new generation. What are we now? What are we hiring? We're hiring
Gen
Z.
Z.
Z, yeah. I'm of a different, I know, like I'm an old millennial. I'm a cusp millennial to Gen X, so I kind of am stuck in the middle of everything. But there's still some really big chips on shoulders about hiring the Generation Z, and I like it. As somebody who comes from the tip of the Gen X where you just basically work until you die, and then being a millennial, and the millennials were just going to end the world. Like everybody hated us coming out. And I see these Gen Zs out there and they're hard workers, but they are truly, truly holding true to their work-life balance. They want to be involved. They want to be out there. They want to volunteer. They want to do a good job. They want to make lots of money, but they are also not going to let themselves burn out as bad as we just did. I think that's super important because that makes for angry employees. That makes for people who are quitting. That makes for, well, if you're telling me I can't do something, then I'm going to go do it anyway. So I think this is a good shift. Like,
Yeah, they're healthy. They care about their health. They care about
yes.
their coping mechanisms aren't pouring themselves into a bottle every night because they had a bad day at work. You know, that's yeah, it's amazing. And we all a lot of some talk tracks, maybe not quite at the keynote at IBAA, but they're activists. They're
Yeah.
just it's gonna change. And what's fascinating to me is that, and this is a bit of a stereotype here, but what's fascinating is that right now we're all being led to some degree by Gen Xers and millennials and potentially still boomers if they're hanging around. Okay. So you're seeing this shift of like Gen Zs are coming in and changing this, and we're the top guard is like really struggling with this change, right?
I will say on a like broker to broker, well, just from my own experience, I find that the Gen Zs somehow can speak much better to the boomers and the old Gen Xs. Because it used to be this like line in the sand, right? Like if I came in to try to help you as a millennial 10 years ago, you were like, you're just stupid and I'm going to do this my own way. Where somehow they can navigate a little bit better. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm seeing that in our office anyways.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I do think their communication style is actually a lot better than
Yeah.
we thought,
Yeah.
or than maybe anticipated. Tan, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just no, it's okay.
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 Yeah, yeah, I just thought it
Ten
was
years though, I'm like, do you know how to have a conversation? But
well, it is.
It's a learning curve for that for everything.
it's a learning, and because
Right?
keep in mind too, like a big part of Gen Z's coming into the workforce were in isolation for a couple years, so they didn't have that face-to-face time communication ability, and
Yeah.
so we see that considerably as they like leave university and are entering the workforce. They have to learn those skills again, and I think like remote. I'm a big advocate for remote work. I'm fully remote, but I think for a lot of Gen Zers, it's causing that emotional disconnection to grow wider. And I think there's definitely a case for bringing Gen Zs into the office to kind of have that in-person mentorship.
I agree. And we do hybrid, the same
Yeah.
thing. Like we
Yeah.
have a schedule, you need to be in a certain amount of days. Some people choose to be in every day, some people choose to be not in, as you know, I'm on the road and working from wherever, but when I'm in the city, I want to go in the office. So yeah, you got to be able to find that balance. I 100% agree with you on that.
No, I'm definitely not a let's go to the office every day because I'll never go back to that. But I think there is something to say about like team building in person once in a while. Absolutely.
Well, it's the perspective. So you can't gain that. That's the problem, is that it's you grow through perspectives, right? We know that by being on this podcast. It's basically mentorship in disguise and perspectives. So if you're not exposed to these perspectives, and Zoom meetings only, do so much, and chats are worse, right? And so it's like, how do you actually grow and respect somebody's perspective, but not necessarily, you don't have to agree with it, but you can obtain it, you can learn from it, so all of those things I think are really lost in, I see it every day, right? Every day in personal and professional, where it's like, okay, I just need to take that 5 more minutes and explain my perspective, right? And that's tough to do when you're not face to face with someone
Well,
talking.
then they're like primary years of learning all of this, like Tanya said, was in a computer screen because the world was on shutdown, lockdown, and different things. So I think there is going to be a learning curve into that all the way. But I also think that perhaps maybe my brain was kind of just putting this together now. Maybe that's why I'm seeing there's a bit of a better communication between the remaining old guard and the new guard coming in, because they they're not as scared to ask the questions, I feel, as because there was nobody teaching them that what they were thinking were dumb or quiet, or do you know what I'm trying to
Great
say?
correlation, Jody. I never thought of
Yeah.
yeah, because there wasn't that trepidation. Like it's different asking a question over a chat or an email than in person. Like I remember I would avoid the in-person questions as much as possible and spend hours
Right?
researching in the background, even though that one question could have been solved in 5 minutes, because it was that fear of like, you should know this, or that's a dumb question that 100% Jody, that
But
makes
they don't even have that, I don't think. And I
They
know
don't have that. And
oh,
they have options. Let's just be real. They
yeah.
have far more options than we ever had. And
oh
they are
yes.
not sitting back and saying, they're like, look, again, this is a bit generalizing, but it's like there's just so many more options to go and make money than there was when we were growing up. So exactly what you guys were just saying, and they're like, no, they've got enough. First of all, they also have in Canada, as we all know, and in other places, they also have enough kind of working against them, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of like, well, no, if this is up to me, I'm taking it into my own hands. So yeah, interesting perspective in terms of
And
communicating
I
with.
think too, because they're faster to pick up the phone than like the middle guard like me. Like, oh well, I sent them, I sent that client 4 emails. Okay, cool. Just pick up the phone. Where these guys really aren't scared of it because I don't think they ever learned to be scared of it.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Because like my niece is a Gen Zer, she's 18, and I was like, you never reply to my text messages. Like I text you like 50 times a week. She's like, well, you have to call me. And I was like, wait,
It's coming back
you
around.
have to call. Like people call now. Like for me,
Yes.
I couldn't wait till text came into like power. And then I was like, you only call if it's an emergency with
Yeah.
millennials. Like if Diane is calling me on my phone, I'm like, something went down today. And she
Yeah, you got to answer that
hears
call.
me, right? And for
Yeah.
Gen Zers, he's like,
True.
call me. I'm like, what?
Oh, I have 1,900 nieces and they all want
Yeah.
to talk on the phone. They want to
Yeah.
FaceTime. And I'm so confused all the time. I'm like, wait, I thought we don't like this.
Yeah.
Well, they have so much coming at them from another technology perspective that if we call them or they
They can
request the call, I should say, yeah, that's the here and now that they're going to deal with.
Well, that's promising. I love that.
Wow, I think we just solved all the world's problems.
Solved it. And also, like,
We're
let's
done.
hear ChatGPT. How many dumb questions did you have while you were learning insurance that you were terrified in the room to even say
Exactly.
anything to anybody about it? Now you have ChatGPT, you just ask a
Mhm.
question and it's not going to judge you. It's not going to think you're dumb. Like the amount
Yeah.
of questions I ask ChatGPT now, I'm like, if I asked anyone these questions, like they would be like, are
Oh,
you okay?
I have my app on the go. Just Google. I live by myself and I'm full on conversations with Google and Siri all the time, right? So you think about that, yeah. And yes, there's never a dumb question. Yeah, there is.
I'm
And as
sorry.
long as nobody is gonna like maybe a 100% call you out, but 10, 15 years ago, there was definitely
Oh,
an old person
Oh,
looking at me like I was stupid from across the table. So you picked up on that, right?
yeah.
especially as a woman, Jody, 10 to 15 years ago, I remember anytime I went into a meeting and I didn't know consciously what I was doing, I would prep. I would like study, I would prep, I would make sure if someone threw a question at me, I would know the answer because I was terrified of looking like I didn't know everything. So when you went back and you said, you're not the smartest person in the room, don't pretend to be, that took me a long time
Very
to learn because
contradicting.
there was like a stigma, especially for women trying to enter leadership. It's like, oh, you don't know that? Like,
100% sitting around the board, however many years ago, it was hard. Like, I didn't want to say something stupid back in the beginning of everything. I'm female and I'm a little stature, so that like you're easy, you can look over me easily. So I spent a few years just kind of like twiddling my thumbs and going, I did know that. Like, why didn't I speak up? I did know that. Why didn't I speak up? And then finally starting to speak up, and also learning that I had to like, really put my voice out there because I'm easily talked over and however. So yeah, the struggle's real. So maybe they're going to come in and just really turn it around on us.
So I really
Me
do. And
too.
that kind of like transitions us into another question. So we know that you've been an advocate for women in insurance. So what drives that passion for mentorship?
Um, I have to say, I don't know that I was even doing it to begin with, so I'm not sure really why or how. I come from a single mom, um, married, however, now, but we had a lot of years by ourselves. I come from very strong maternal women in my family, so I guess maybe that was just kind of always there and I wasn't aware of it. But it also goes back to, that kind of that same thing about not being the smartest person in the room, but standing up to true to who you are. I can sit back and let others talk over top of me if it makes them feel better. It's not important to me. But when there's something that is important
Yeah.
to me, I'm going to interject. I'm going to get my opinion out there. And unfortunately, women have an extra layer of difficulty because we're fighting with that concept where, there are men that get spoke over as well and disregarded, however, but they get to use the bro code eventually. They get to use that kind of concept. Well, we'll go out and crack a beer and watch a game where, I'm supposed to go home and do whatever. So that really started to like resonate in my brain that it was happening probably halfway through it all. And I went, no, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I'm an intelligent person. I have a voice and I have things that I want to say. So I just wanted to be able to create a platform for us to go out there. And also kind of retrospectively too, which I didn't really clue into right away, is I have some very strong women that were leading me down and showing me the path of how to navigate through this. And in my lightheartedness, a lot of it was just like, oh, look at my cool friends and these are my friends. But then now I stop and I think back and like they really paved the way for me and they really took me under their wing. And there was never any, I don't know, like blatant lessons taught per
Yeah.
se, but just watching them navigate and me mimicking them and them providing me space. So I'm making sure I'm providing space for the next person, especially female, to come in. It's just important. We do luck out. This is one of the industries that has one of the highest amount of leading women in it. So that's something that we need to be very proud of. And we want to make sure that we're just supporting that and keeping that role going and open for them. I'm never really like, I never want to be lost in the raw, raw female. That's not who I am. I'm raw, raw anybody. Like whoever you are, you deserve to be heard and deserve to be a part of the voice. But I just want to make sure that we're saving space for the
Yeah.
women.
You said females in your past that led the way. I think it's also important to note that we continue to do that. You continue to do that. The four of us continue to do that moving forward as well. It's not about as well the women or the mentors we had in the past. It's this, even us, this community, the five of us here, we've continued to do that. We do that in the daily.
Yeah.
We continue to champion each other and be authentic to ourselves. So I think it's that continued journey as well that you
That's
do as
huge.
well.
Like, yeah, I just want to make friends. I want to make relationships. We're bowling in Banff, and there's some new younger women in there that I hadn't met before. I just want to make sure that I make direct eye contact. I want to shake their hand, want to say hi. And if you ever need to have a conversation, reach out. Like, if there's anything anything, it doesn't even have to be something specific to the industry, but you're just trying to navigate your way through that. I want to provide that for people because I realized again, like, the women in the insurance in my past, that's exactly what they did to me. There was not like I don't have a specific memory of, any Robin, Julia, Ricky, any of them coming up to me and going, "You should be my friend and I'm going to help you." We just navigated together and I watched them navigate these paths and they brought me along with subtly with them and That was the most
I
helpful
know, it's
thing I've
so
ever
crazy
had.
when you look back and you think, you just remember the people that stuck out, like in terms of that help. And even if it was few and far between, and like you said, it was subtle, like I can look back now and name, few people, and I'm like, you have no idea the impact that you
Yes.
played, the positive impact when I was kind of struggling and didn't know if I can handle this training session when I was 22 years old in front of a room full of new brokers, or whatever that actually looked like. And you're the voice that said, yes, you can, and I'm going to help you, right? Making that space, right? Or,
And learning that it's not a perfect platform either or
yeah,
solution. Like I have, which didn't put together, but I know I did it. I have current PYB women coming up to me and always, and this isn't meant to be like pumping my own tires, but they're all, you're so good at public speaking and you're always, you're articulate, and how are you comfortable doing? Those are actually my biggest fears in life. Like
exactly.
I am not articulate. I struggle with words real bad. Like it's actually, ask Helen, it's a running joke. Like I mess up words all the time. I'm comfortable standing in front of a crowd of people, but I'm not necessarily comfortable when I have to provide a message. So they get these concepts that, oh, these perfect situations are happening out there, which I had back in the day. And as Tanya said, you couldn't ask about it because then you just looked like you didn't know anything. So I really want them to understand, no, that's not true. I have stumbled, I have failed, I'm sweating up there as well. But you just figure out how to find your authenticity in it and just be you. I own it now. Any public speaking I'm doing, the first thing I say is, I'm gonna wreck somebody's name and I'm gonna forget a word.
Yeah.
It's just who I am. And then we all laugh and we all move on.
And
Yeah.
let's like between us ladies, let's talk about perimenopause and the word gaps that all of a sudden happen. Okay, let's get real because it is not nice. It's not nice.
It's
I
horrible.
forgot the word
And
the other day. The. I was like,
That's so funny.
I
Try to
have
just
also had a few concussions in my farm life. So yeah, it's a real struggle. When we were just sitting down having lunch the other day, I remember like Helen's like, spit it out. I was like, I'm getting there. Like, it's
Yeah.
so
there to
embarrassing.
support you, Jode. Let's just get to the end of this. I'm gonna say for me, it's how about putting together thoughts and then
Yes.
bringing those into words? That's
Articulation
my
is
struggle,
brutal.
right?
Articulation is brutal as we get older.
Like, and
I
simple things. Trying to explain something to my daughter about something, and she's like,
Yeah.
and what? Like, totally not making any sense.
And actually, I will say, kind of the like helping women navigate through this, that's something that I've really struggled with in the last few years. Again, I've had a couple concussions that are ridiculous stories. I'm getting to the age gap, I can never say that word, the you say it, Tam.
perimenopause.
Thank you. All of that starting to kick in, so I get really stuck. I know I have a thought that it's important to get out there. I can't get the words out. I've got 7,000 streams of different ideas going through my brain at once, and I get stuck, and people talk over me all the time. And I get mad because I never can get my thought finished. So I've had to learn how to navigate this in the last few years because then I'm mad. Like, you're not letting me talk. And then I'm pouting. So that obviously wasn't working in my favor. So I got to figure out how to work through that. So I'll just ask for space now. Please hold on. I need a minute to just get this out. And I want to teach people, women, that that's okay. It
Yeah.
was a learning curve for me, but I finally just had to say, hold on. I really do have something important to say. I
Yeah.
just got to ramble through it. Let me get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great advice.
That's funny.
Did we do
So-
our lightning round?
There's nobody calling out the life size Jody.
I was
Oh,
just,
yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna throw that in the lightning round.
That yet.
Okay. Kind of a convoluted story. I'll
But
try.
wait, before you
What?
start, it is not life size.
No,
Let's
it's
be
way
clear.
bigger.
Because that was gonna be my question is
I'll
who
send you guys
who is
actually.
smaller?
I'll send you the selfie that I took with myself. Myself is way bigger.
That's not life size.
Short girl
It is
corner.
not to be
How tall are you, Jody?
I say I'm 5'2", but I'm pretty sure I'm lying. I'm pretty sure it's like 1.5.
I'm
My
five.
mom almost she just pointed out to me that she's 5'2", and my mom's like little bit taller than me, so I'm pretty sure I've been lying my entire life.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, I'm taller than Tan.
yes.
And I don't know if I'm taller than you, but you and I are pretty close, I'm gonna say, in height, Tan, Jody.
Yeah, you gotta be. You don't know your height?
And it's
Oh, I'm
4'11".
5'2".
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. So you can
Gotcha.
edit
Okay.
this out
I
that
know
Jody
we're
thinks
very
he's less
close.
than
Yeah.
5'2", because I am not giving up 5'2", because I used to
Oh.
think I was 5'3" until my girlfriend threw me against a wall one day in her office and tape measured me, said, no, 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 you're not 5'3". So
Yeah, I refuse.
Jody, I was 4'11" until recently, and I grew an inch.
What?
Grew an inch through Cairo and yoga in my 40s.
Ah, yes, that is true.
Oh.
4'11". Oh my gosh, girl. I live in a completely different world than 90% of the people in my life. Well, I don't, if you've ever seen me with my past board members, like my past board members are Kevin Lee and Barry Hagan. They're all 1,900 feet tall, and then there's me walking around with
Talk
them.
about the ID photos where there's this much white space every time.
Yes. Do you struggle with lanyards? That's my
All the time.
biggest.
It's always on my belly button.
Yeah, I tie mine up because I feel like people go to go, oh, that got extra awkward. So like I tie mine up because they're short.
good. So start doing that.
Yeah.
Did you see our little action figure post where they made Tanya like
Yeah.
Teeny tiny.
GPT knows I'm shorter than average, and I don't know how it knew that. It terrified me.
I'll send you the picture. It's cute. It's cute.
Okay, so yes, no, definitely not life size.
Okay.
So I actually ended up being president. What seems to be my legacy. I ended up being president of PYB 2 years in a row, which it's only a 1-year position. And then I actually ended up being president of IBAA 2 years in a row through COVID. So because I never actually got my own gala or however, like I didn't have a Jody Lohr conference of whatever year. So what we ended up doing was when our first back in-person gala was technically Barry Hagis's gala. So we just kind of shared. I got an outgoing platform, he got an ingoing platform. And part of the joke was they had taken a bunch of different pictures of different people. If you guys remember, George's face was in your bedrooms and different things. For some reason, Barry was in a lot of the bathrooms. That was super awesome to me. And I was kind of hid different places. But they had this in the convention hall as like a welcome type thing. And oh my God, every time you would walk by it, I would like jump and I would forget that I was there. And like it was crazy. And then it says on it, convention is always better with J. Lohr wine, because J. Lohr wine, which I really wish I got royalties off of, but I do not. P.S. It is actually really good wine.
It is.
So, anyways, at the end of convention, I don't know if you guys have ever worked with that stuff before, but those things are expensive, like stupidly expensive. And I felt bad. I was like, well, what are you gonna do with it? Like that's a lot of money for me just for a couple 3 days of funny. So I was like, I'll keep it. Like, I mean, it gives me a good joke, it gives me a good story, right? But they had taken it back to Edmonton to the IBA office. So George had to drive it up here. Oh God, it was awesome. And then I had it in the office for a couple days, terrifying people. And then I brought it here. And when I first had it in this room, which is actually technically my master bedroom, but I just switched it into the office, I had it kind of like over here more. And I swear for 2 weeks, I had a heart attack once a day. Because I lived by myself, and then I would cross it, would catch my eye, and I would just like,
oh yeah, exactly.
But now it's just fun. People come hang out, and they like hang out with Jody, and it's always a question in meetings, and I can't get rid of her.
Cute. It's very cute.
Well, we would never want to get rid of Jody, so it's all good.
If you ever miss me, you can come back.
If I ever miss you, I'm coming to steal it.
Lightning questions.
Okay.
I'm
bad at these.
Ready? One leadership lesson you live by.
This one's easier. I'm going to steal it from previous. Never think you're the smartest person in the room.
All right.
Favorite book or podcast that shaped your career?
Oh, shaped my career. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I have one of either. This one.
The book you referenced.
Well, for female empowerment and being true to yourself. I'm not going to name the book that I'm currently reading. And
Is it a series?
it's a series.
Oh,
There may be some
what is it?
fake
Now I have to know.
creatures. Podcasts, I really like. I actually listen to quite a few podcasts. One of my favorites actually is Dax Shepard's
love that.
Armchair Experts. I like that one because it gets you your like celebrity fix, but they talk about real life things, and the conversations are just really like high level, but also like really deep. They get off on these tangents, and like, you really learn things. There's one that I really like, and I can't remember the exact name of it. It's two ladies, and I think it's something like my give a shit is gone or something like that. Excuse me if I'm not supposed to be swearing, but they're just really true, honest women at our age, and they're just calling it like it is, and I love it. I like to, just anything small. I have one that's like a 15-minute, like learn a new thing for the day.
Yeah, very cool.
It was
I
a
like
long
that.
ramble on a lightning question, sorry.
No, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yeah.
I have tried, I was actually just telling this story. I have tried to be the cool person and get on this tea bandwagon. I bet you I've spent hundreds of dollars on loose tea and cool teapots and different things. And I'm a coffee girl. That's who I am.
I like afternoon tea, but my husband's cut out tea a few times or coffee, and he'll be like, I really think you should cut out coffee.
I don't think I'm a good
Research
person.
supports coffee is better.
Huh?
Okay?
Oh,
The
see.
research supports coffee is better for you. All right.
Cool. And
Especially
I'm
women during perimenopause, it helps you focus. It helps get rid of the brain fog. It gives you dopamine. So no. You drink that coffee, girl.
trust me, I would rather roll over and probably jump off a cliff.
No,
if
I got criticized for my
never
coffee
getting
drinking
off
for
of it, yeah.
years until the research came out. I was like, huh.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if I found out it was
Very
super bad, maybe, but
But
it
for
would
real, what
take-
isn't super bad? I'm a better person on coffee. The world needs me on coffee.
I say, as long as you're not loading it up with sugar, you're fine,
Do you, boo?
right?
peace. It's peace on
Last question. One word to describe your leadership style.
Authenticity.
Love it. Yes.
I
Yes.
really just learned to be me. Like the joke of the t-shirt, I'm not a fancy person. I'm rolling into the office in jeans and a hoodie or, a nicer shirt or whatever. I work from home. I travel all over. I am who I am, and I'm proud of that, and that's what's got me to where I am.
I love that.
Love it.
Okay, well, thank you, Jody, for coming on to our podcast today. It was my first time meeting you, and oh my gosh, I'm so in love with you. So thank you for and yeah, on behalf of Diane, Helen, and Jen, we hope to have you back at some point. And for all of you listening, please share, subscribe, comment. That really helps us get more reach and engagement and reach more women and men in the community. And thank you for tuning in. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, ladies. I loved it. Cheers.